And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're going to be discussing 1883 episode number 3, titled River. If you're not hit the sub button, please do so. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. And we're actually going to start with the beginning. We don't typically do that in these reviews. We usually jump to the most interesting thing of the episode. But in this one, I want to talk about the opening because it definitely set the tone. You know, we basically get a montage of death and the difficulties of being on this trail and just all the horrible things that can happen to you, and then leading to the big moment, which was the basis of the episode, the river. The most damning thing that you can run into on a journey like this is a river, because it's like, how do you get across? How far down do you have to go? And this causes the big debate. Do we go, which direction do we go? But I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that opening. I mean, we even got the rattlesnake scene, which was just the most horrifying shit imaginable. But the guy that got ran over, I was I mean, I'm sorry to laugh, but I was like, even Sam Elliott's like, don't do that. He's like, get off the wheel. He's yelling at the dude, and the dude falls and straight just gets smashed. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people would die on these journeys. But yeah, just your guys' thoughts on the this sort of montage. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, because they didn't even make it out of Texas yet. That was one of the things that they had mentioned. They're just like, yeah, we're still in Texas.
Yeah, and that did a really, like you said, a really good job of setting the tone and showing that this definitely wasn't going to be Little House on the Prairie.
Go ahead, Larry.
You go ahead.
Oh shit. No, I was, they set it up to where they're still in Texas. Fort Worth is Dallas area, so it's center-ish of Texas. And I understand that they're going maybe 8 miles an hour, as slow as they are with the wagons and everything else. But for them to debate and show that they haven't been gone that long, and winter's coming, and they're keep talking about, if we do this, it's going to add 3 weeks to our journey. And I'm like, how fucking slow were they going? And it just puts into perspective how many people they're transporting, how many wagons are going, how many horses they're taking, the ox that they're taking, the beef that they're taking to feed themselves. All the Sam Elliott being the captain of this, trying to organize this giant caravan of people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's taken so long, and so many of them are dying. The funniest one was still the girl getting bit in the ass when she was trying to take a piss.
Ah, dude, that's nightmare fuel, though. Like, just the thought of it. Yeah.
Like, I'm
just
gonna.
It was the horror of it, because they gave them the little class on rattlesnakes. So, like, you notice when she looked back and saw it, she knew, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, it was. I mean, yeah, it was. But that moment of, oh my god, what they told me actually happened.
Yeah, at least the wagon guy didn't have time to contemplate what was happening.
Sorry, that was the one that I did laugh. It's like, God. Because Sam Elliott's yelling at him like, dumbass, what are you doing? And he straight up just, I mean, he eats it hard.
So you laughed at the dude getting smushed by the wagon. Yeah. I laughed at the girl getting bit in the ass.
The girl getting bit in the ass. Yeah. So that set up one of the big conflicts that still technically I don't think has been completely resolved. I want your guys' opinion on that. But basically, Sam Elliott, Shay, and Tim McGraw, James Dutton, they don't agree on everything, because James's whole thing is he doesn't care about the caravan. He's just trying to protect his family. They're on their journey. As far as he's concerned, they're separate. But Sam Elliott basically needs to control things. He needs order, and he needs to sort of be the decision maker. And this whole decision on what direction to go, there's a conflict. Now they end up deciding to go the direction that James had initially said they should, mainly because Thomas points out the dangers of winter approaching. But in the end, they have their little conversation. They sort of give their thoughts on how they view things, but they didn't completely say, there was no handshake, essentially, where he's just like, you know what, you're right, you're in charge. So it's going to be interesting if that's a conflict that continues or just where it goes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's one of those things where honestly, James is being a little short-sighted himself because some of the things they face, you just really don't want to face those things on your own.
I
Like
agree.
and if he goes out on his own, just like Shay was telling him, like it's just you and your family, and only you and your daughter seem to have any idea of how to defend yourselves, and your daughter hasn't had to do that before, so it's like you're the only person who can handle a gun in your family, and already they've made enemies, they've encountered, outlaws and things, and it's just like him on his own against a gang of people. It's not a smart bet to take.
well, and at the beginning of this whole show, I don't know if it was a prologue or I don't know, a prequel. The rest of the show is a prequel to the ending of the, or a prequel to the,
Elsa getting shot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you have all these things. So does that mean that them going this way is going to be more detrimental or more people going to die? Is this basically where they start losing a big chunk of the people, or is this decision to make this helps them get to the trail faster, but getting on the trail faster ends up getting caught by more Indians? Like this to me may be setting the tone for uh, James Dunn, for old Tim McGraw to end up being the reason that everybody dies. I think it's going to be his bullheadedness of trying to save only his family that leaves it to where it's only Elsa that lives uh, by the end of this. And I mean, it's a bold prediction. Everyone's got, but for this show to be a prequel to a singular family basically running Montana, it only
Well,
makes sense for most of the competition to die.
well, yeah, and I think you're right to some degree, because I think, like, we see that scene, and maybe even James dies in that scene and everything, and she comes back to the group after James just split, like most of her family perhaps even dies, and when she gets back to Shay and everyone else, he's like, well, like your dad said, I don't know you shit, so you know off you go. I don't need another mouth to feed. I need another gunslinger.
Um, one of the things I loved about the last episode was the time they took to show you wrangling the cows. Like they went through step by step sort of how they do it, and even the monotony of it. You know what I mean? Like they went through the details. And this episode does a similar thing with hunting, where he James has to take his son because his wife and daughter are going to help with the cattle, and so he's like, all right. And I loved all the little jokes about his son being talking and being loud, and I even liked that he started crying at one point. He was being a kid, but I like the hunting aspect of it, of him explaining this is why we do it, this is how we do it, sort of the way it works and his philosophy on it. And I thought it was a really cool line where he was saying, every time we kill, we become less human, more animal, and it's all about the balance and everything. Whether you agree or disagree with his philosophies, I just thought it was interesting that how he was teaching his kid and just how all that played out. But that's one of the things I thought was cool about the show. Even them being stuck at a river for an entire episode. It's the little things like that that give it sort of that realistic feel.
Brian, for all the listeners, a real big hunter. He really enjoys hunting salamanders
Yeah.
with his swing shot, with his wrist rocket. But like you said, Brian, the realism of it, because the things that they are tending to focus on, a lot of Westerns don't focus on it as much. And
Exactly.
it places this, and I understand that they're doing a series, so, and it's already been greenlit for a season 2, but for them to be basing it as a series, there's been a lot of Western series. You look at even Hell on Wheels, you got Deadwood, uh, even I would say Longmire, which is similar to Yellowstone, where it's set in more current day, but it's got a Western feel to it. So this kind of series isn't out of the ordinary. There's been lots of Western series, but this one is the one that feels the most grounded in reality, as opposed to just very white urban, which I do understand. Just for those who want to critique that, I understand White Earp's a real person. I just,
Any thoughts, Larry?
Any thoughts on
Just the hunting stuff, or the little details like that, like they take the time to say we're going to spend 5 minutes showing a hunting scene or wrangling cattle.
Well, yeah, and that was a very cool element too. In these last couple episodes, that we do get to see those smaller things. And that as you mentioned last episode, that we don't see in other shows. And yet it's because it's a big part of how they survive, and and this decision will, I'm sure impact them in a big way. The fact that they were at an impasse, they were at a little river and had a moment to stop and reflect, and they chose James's route, and that's really going to damn them. Just a decision that seems that small.
Now let's get to the meat of the episode. The Sam Elliott and Thomas. I can all his Shay, but I'm going to keep calling him Sam Elliott. So they find there's a woman who they know her husband had been killed. They go to see her and sort of talk to her and help her out, and she's really upset, and she wants to marry Sam Elliott because she needs a husband, and that he turns her down, and Thomas is like, you don't want to be with him. But he ends up learning that she was robbed after her husband died. A bunch of her stuff got taken, and he goes to the guys that took it. And I mean, that scene was intense. He smashes their stuff, beats the hell out of them, and basically tells them, "You're not part of the caravan anymore. You're out. We will not tolerate theft." Basically, and he learns that the reason they did it is because she's a gypsy, and so they look down on her, and there's a whole they just they look at her as less than, and so they're dealing with that. It leads to a confrontation where basically these two guys come and they want to go on their own. They want Sam Elliott, Thomas, they want all of them gone, and they're basically like, the only thing they have is guns. That's the only thing keeping them in charge. And so we get a nice confrontation where Sam Elliott yet again punks out this dude, makes him cry. And the most important part of that conversation, though, was at the end when Thomas is like, what are they going to do? And he's like, they're going to go back to Fort Worth. They're going to get a posse and they're going to come after us. I should have killed him. And so all those different things. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on sort of that sort of fear that he has at the end?
It would really, to me, depend on how they're going to go forward. I'm sure when we talk about the Oregon Trail and playing games and like those kind of things, the Native American counterpart to that is they were constantly attacking the I want to say caravans, because that's basically what they were, I guess. But
basically
the wagon trains, but they would constantly attack. But to me, knowing that's coming, they've done a real good job of showing all the other little things, like the wagon getting destroyed, the snake bite, the getting ran over. There's a lot of other adverse things that are going to happen, and I think that them bringing another crew kind of pursuing them from one angle while they're trying to not go into the Indian territory all at the same time would add another cool kind of antagonist to the group.
But yeah, and it may be it may be that they perhaps even don't make it there, or or maybe they decide to keep going on their own, and we see that they've moved forward a little faster than the current group, and we see their corpses a little later. It's hard to say, because I mean, just with some of the mishaps they've had so far, it seems also very likely that those two may not make it back safely. And, but it does feel like something that's going to, potentially bite them at the end. That said, your whole Oregon Trail analogy, I was thinking earlier how much this show is like, someone sat down and decided, what if we made Oregon Trail a TV show?
That's essentially what it is. Yeah.
They get to the river. Are you going to ford the river, or are you going to?
It's like, shit, what am I going to do? The other thing that happened was Elsa, I didn't write the guy's name down, but I'll just call him the cowboy. She's flirting with him a little more. He's flirting with her. And so basically there's a conversation between Margaret and James where she's like, look, Elsa is becoming a young woman. She's trying to talk to this guy. What are we doing? And, James is at least he's level headed in this where he's just like, it is what it is. So, he goes and talks to the guy at the end and is like, yeah, you can court her. And I love that he didn't know what that meant. And then he, the whole handsy thing. And he's just like, well, what is your definition? And James gives him that look like, I will kill you, and he just sort of looks at. Now, I'm going to have this is a sidebar. The only complaint, there was a lot of close-ups in those scenes with all the actors, and their teeth are so perfect. Like, it's a show, and, I'm not going to, gripe about it. But it was funny, like Faith Hill and Tim McGraw. Like, they have, like, the perfect teeth. The cowboy guy's teeth look pretty good. I'm like, I just thought it was funny that it's 1883 and they all have perfect set of teeth. But
Talking about FGL.
yeah, but yeah, the whole him courting her. We had predicted that earlier that we thought that that was going to be a relationship that possibly actually happened.
I love how mad James seemed at how stupid he seemed to be.
That's
you can see him kind of seething, and yet he feels, like you said, because like, well, she's at that age. There's very little I can do about this,
Well, I have a theory behind part of that because, you got FGL, Florida Georgia line. That's what I call the cowboy guy. But he, for the name to carry through the series as the Dutton family, I don't know that it can follow Elsa unless she gets pregnant and the dies, because, and I'm just thinking historically in those time frames, names died out because the male line died out.
That's a good point.
So I don't know if it's the son having kids or if Elsa dies at the end of this and carries forward. If James has another kid, so I'm really curious as to family line wise who it is that's going to carry this on, or if like the cowboy does get her pregnant and she doesn't know a lot about him and he ends up dying, so she just gives the kid
that's a good point
name. So that's where I'm, if she is the focal character to carry on the Dutton name, I don't know how she's going to carry it on, and that's a big mystery for me personally.
Your father wasn't a Dutton, but you will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that little tune playing while she's musing about how she never knew his last name and everything, and yeah.
I know that he liked apples.
Your name, Appleton.
He'd eat them under the tree on stormy nights.
Why are you singing a Jeopardy song?
Let's see here. That's about it, really.
Well,
Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to talk about before we started to wrap this up was the Gypsy Lady.
Oh yeah, you did have
we
cool
didn't
fact.
talk about her very much, but the fact that she's talking to Sam Elliott and she's trying to hit on Sam Elliott, I think that her as a real person just likes much older dudes, because her husband is Tim Robbins from Shawshank. So her and Andy Dufresne are But no, Sam Elliott's only like 12 years older than Tim Robbins.
Yeah,
And
because she's like, what'd
only
you say, like
30
32?
Yeah, she's 32. And so Sam Elliott might just be her type, man.
Hey, man, older
Her
dude.
and Tim Robbins, they said they filed for divorce. So
Oh, did they? Oh,
yeah, that's what it said. But it didn't say that they were divorced yet. So I mean, she might just be courting old Sam Elliott right now. I don't know.
hey,
It might
man.
be a character move. It might be a real thing.
Sammy E, man. When was the last time y'all watched The Big Lebowski?
It's been a long time.
Dude, I love that movie so much. I saw it not long ago. I watched it.
I thought you were gonna say Tombstone. I was gonna say like 3 weeks ago.
Dude, I watch that like every year, but
I thought you were going to say Gunsmoke, to be honest.
I watch that. I watch episodes of that often as well.
I watched Ponderosa.
Watch Fried Green Tomatoes and Still Magnolia. I've seen both of those movies like a lot. Growing up,
Yeah. What was the name of the other
Georgia
steakhouse?
boy. Huh?
What was the name of the other steakhouse? It was Ponderosa, and they're basically the same thing, but I can't remember.
I don't know.
They were both like Western shows. God damn
Let's
it!
see. Oh, God, now we had you had Gunsmoke was for me the best. I say that like I was alive when it was airing, but I watched it obviously.
You are correct,
you had
Doc.
the Rifleman. You had Bonanza.
That was the other steakhouse.
Okay.
A
steakhouse named Bonanza?
Yeah, it was Ponderosa and Bonanza steakhouses.
Yeah. Those are a couple of the big ones. I know there were way more, but those are like the ones I saw. Gunsmoke, amazing.
Okay.
You looked it up?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but that's not even the best part. It's ponbon.com is the website, and it's Ponderosa and Bonanza Steakhouse. Happiness unlimited, freedom by the plateful.
There you go, man. Oh, that was another great line where, the guy's like, this is, we're free here or whatever. And he's just like, no, not here. He's like, we're in the middle, you just had a group of bandits attack you yesterday and kill, half your people. It's like, no, we're in hell right now until we get to a, settle. No, it's every man for himself. You better have a gun. So
I love every scene where he's yelling at him. Yeah.
Sam Elliott's killing it, man. I thought he'd have a smaller role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize he would be like a main character.
I don't know how you could have a Western and have his role be minimized, but
I just thought,
I didn't anticipate he would be the main character or one.
Yeah, because they were really pushing Tim McGraw and Faith Hill as like, it's their show, and I mean they're obviously their main characters, but no, he gets arguably as much, if not more, screen time than than them, definitely.
I'm curious. With that said, you go ahead, Spence.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say the next couple that's gonna show up is gonna be Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood.
Dude, dude, they should. I'd be
or
into
Vince
that.
Gill, Amy Grant.
Or what? Who's Gwen Stefani married to?
Blake Shelton, man.
Yeah, Blake.
Gwen are gonna show
Blake
up.
and Gwen, man. Oh, go ahead, Larry. What you were gonna say something?
Well, just wondering, do y'all think that that Shay is going to survive this season? Because it feels like to me he might.
I would hope he would. Just because knowing there is going to be another season, I'd like him to be in it. But I don't know. I don't think a lot of them are. I think it's going to go really, really bad. But I don't know.
I think it will, but the thing is, like, I think he might survive it. He's just so depressed.
I hope he does.
Yeah. He's so depressed, though. I think he'll kill himself at the end.
Because I think he, I don't know what the production status is, and I don't know any of that, but I do know that the show is already a huge hit, and the numbers from the premiere were huge, and that they're calling it the Yellowstone universe because there's like another show as well that's going to come out that's going to tie into it. They've already greenlit the next season of Yellowstone, so they're already going into production on that.
Well, where are they going to go with this one? Is going to be another state? Because I mean, they did past and present. They can't do future.
I don't know what it is. I think it's going to be a different. What was it? It's going to focus on oil. So it's going to focus on like oil fields and stuff. I don't know if it's going to take place during Yellowstone. There was a video they posted recently where they were like the Yellowstone verse, and they were talking about these shows, and I was like, wow. Who would have thought?
Well, I might have to look that up.
Season 2, there's only like 5 people listed. They have already announced that there's a season 2, I guess, on IMDb. It already is 11 episodes. They already have a name for the first episode of season 2 and stuff. But the only people tied to it right now, there's like 2 prostitutes and a cowboy are the only characters listed.
That's all we need, man. That's all you need.
So the extras are the only people they've announced, but that's probably just keep it under wraps so you don't really.
Yeah, I would imagine they wouldn't announce the IMDb for it yet.
Is that the name of it? Because that sounds like a show. Like 2 guys, a girl, in a pizza place.
The Cowboy and the Ladies of the Night.
Called. Go back.
Oh, I just want to know when we're gonna get Billy Bob. Get more Billy Bob.
Yeah, when's that gonna happen? Oh, those guys are going back to town.
Yeah, that's a good point. They may go get him.
It's 2 prostitutes, 2 cowboys, and a salesman.
Yeah, that's a show. They're gonna go. They're gonna go back. They're gonna be like, they did this to us, and Billy Bob's gonna be like, that's not my version of law, and he's gonna go back. He's gonna go with them.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm the only law in Texas. Oh, where's he at? That actor, he could do it. The dude that he's in those movies where he's the blind dude.
Yeah. He's still big as shit too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, bring him in there.
Bad guy in Avatar.
Yep. Best character in that movie.
So you're saying that these 2 movie universes intertwine?
This is a prequel to Avatar. That's all right. Anything else? Anything else?
Well, it's just I think that's going to happen now because dude's going to feel like his reputation's been tarnished because he just helped them out and everything, and those other 2 are going to come back to town with all kinds of stories. Half of it, well, most of it likely is going to be bullshit. What the narrative they actually tell, and then Billy Bob's going to come after them, and
I'd be into that.
Yeah.
Stephen Lang.
Yeah, that's the actor. Yeah, and he was Ike Clanton.
Yep. Law don't go around here, law dog.
But yeah, solid episode. I'm really into this show. Like I was watching it and I was just like, man, this is a good show. So very excited for the rest of the season. Any other thoughts before we end this?
No, sir.
No, just exactly what you said. I'm really into this show. I'm so into this show that I was mad there wasn't another episode that dropped today. Yeah.
I could have easily, definitely have watched another one. But yeah, we appreciate everyone listening. We'll be doing these every week, and we hope you enjoyed it. Any thoughts on any things we said, you can leave a comment. We will read it. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Well, bye.
Bye.